The Flicks Book Club.
The Flicks Book Club.
Yeah, I'm not doing this. Hey, welcome to Netflix Book Club. My name's Steve McDonald.
Casey Aurora.
Hey, I'm Dennis Rooney.
Check us out at flicksbookclub.com. Hit us on Twitter. Find us on Facebook. All of those good things. The movie we watched this week was my pick. It was The Boxtrolls. This was an animated movie from 2014?
2014.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm scrolling on my phone. It was directed by Graham Annabelle and Anthony Stacchi, I do believe is how you say the last name.
Mm-hmm.
And it starred actually like an all-star cast. Considering the lack of actual speaking that there really was in this movie.
Yeah.
Because there really wasn't. There's a lot of trolls like making noises, but it included Ben Kingsley.
Don't stream it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it in any longer.
All right, hold on.
All right.
Hold on. Let
Sorry.
him finish.
Sorry.
We got
I'm
Ben
sorry.
Kingsley, Jared Harris, Nick
Jared
Frost.
Harris, Nick Frost. I mean,
Tracy Morgan is in
Tracy
this movie.
Morgan is in this. It's like the kid from. Oh no! Wait, he's a different kid. He's one of the kids from Game of Thrones. The kid that plays the kid who can't walk. Bren. He's the voice of Eggs.
Is he? Are you sure?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right here. I'm on his IMDb.
Okay.
Neither of the directors. One of the directors had directed a movie before, a very bad animated movie, and the other guy had never directed a movie before. Both of them had worked in animation for a long time.
So why did you pick this? This didn't even sound like it was set up for goodness.
No. It's because it's the same people that made Paranorman and Coraline.
You a big fan of those?
And those are both great movies, and
Haven't
they're really
seen 'em.
weird. Like Coraline is really
I haven't
weird.
seen them either.
Paranorman is just like a solid. It's like a good movie. It's a good animated movie.
Okay.
But I like stop motion animation. I like animation in general, and so I wanted to pick something because I hadn't seen this, and I wanted to watch it, and so I did. And
how do you feel?
Don't stream it.
Okay.
I'm going with don't stream it. Kunal, what's your feeling on the movie?
Well, I already said it. I
I
couldn't
know.
hold it in.
I know.
Dennis?
Wow. I'm very surprised. I'm going to give it a begrudging stream it.
Yeah.
Really?
Begrudging, because I feel this movie has a place in the world.
Right.
It's not my place.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe in 20 years if I have a 7-year-old, then it'll be my place.
I guess,
I'm trying to look at it objectively.
I guess also 2 duds in a row would also be a bad idea.
No,
would also be a bad idea.
I always plan on giving this a stream it, but it's
2
I'll
duds in a
explain
row is
myself.
not our fault.
It's
Yeah.
not.
Like,
It's-
2 duds in a row is not our fault.
I'll tell you
That's
whose
the
fault. It's
filmmaker's
definitely
fault.
not my fault.
It's
You
not-
guys picked these films. These
Yeah,
last
all
two.
right, that's fine. All right, so
We'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, we'll be back in a sec.
What's going on? Why aren't they ripping out our eyeballs and eating our faces? And where are the rivers of blood and mountains of bones? I was promised mountains of bones!
I told you we don't eat people.
Why do you keep saying we? You're not one of them. You're a boy.
No, I'm not. I'm a box troll. Eggs, the box troll.
And we're back.
Okay, you picked it,
I did
Steven.
pick it.
So why did you say don't stream it? Like my opinion.
I said don't stream it because I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's why. That's
Right.
usually why I say don't stream it, is because
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. I just didn't. It's just not great.
Right.
Like there's the story itself was just not very well crafted, as an actual story arc. There just were a lot of holes in it where it was just yep, that happened 10 years ago and now it's now.
Right.
And there were just a lot of
holes.
just weird little things in it. The fact that they the trolls never spoke ever was really hindering to that entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, here's where
Just-
this whole this movie has a place in the world thing comes in, because
may I interject?
I barely got started, but why not? Go ahead. Yeah, what's up?
you're going to anyway.
I'm a grown adult. I would never recommend this movie. Why would I ever recommend this movie as a grown adult?
Listen,
If I'm trying to sleep with a single mom, maybe I would, but I would never watch this movie and then speak to another grown adult person.
Yet
and
here we
say,
are.
Hey, Dennis, you know what you need to watch? Boxtrolls, bruh. All right, I wouldn't do that. I'm just not that kind of person.
Yeah, here we are, 3 grown men.
Right.
Going to have about a 30-minute conversation
Yep.
about this 90-minute children's
Thank God,
movie.
25 more
where-
minutes.
Let's paint a little picture.
And you know what? I like the fact that you're remaining objective.
Trying.
I'm
I'm trying not to reach your level of seethingness.
I appreciate
I
that.
feel like
and
the next
respect
thing
you.
the next thing I'm picking is like a SpongeBob movie.
You
or
do
like
that, and I will beat you with this mic.
Or like Bob the Builder. Like I want something simple. And
Listen, as
you
far-
liked Noah, okay? Settle down.
First of all, I knew you were going to bring that up again. That is a movie that is with adults, and it's for adults.
That's the biggest kid story there is, and you
Yeah,
know
it's,
it. Okay,
it's a kid's story.
Animals
but
by
they-
pair on a
but
boat.
They,
Ooh.
But they did it in a different way, and it was a blockbuster movie, and it made blockbuster. I'm not saying the
Guess
money,
what? Blockbuster went out of business. This is Netflix Book Club.
Right,
Okay,
I understand that, but I'm saying it's a blockbuster movie.
Okay,
I get that's a cheesy
settle
joke.
Settle down.
But the
No,
thing
no,
is
no,
this:
no,
it was
'cause
an
I have
adult movie.
the point stands.
I don't care whether this is the thing is that I disagree with the idea that there are like if you watch a Pixar movie,
Right,
like those are made for children,
right.
but they're amazing.
And they also have dark undertones that could be
And-
appreciated.
and they have dark undertones that can be appreciated.
Right.
Which if you watch, like in my opinion, it's like if you watch Paranorman, if you watch Coraline, especially,
Right.
it absolutely has all of those things.
Okay.
And so when you're looking at that, like I don't look at
But
this
what
as
did
like
we watch?
we watched the Boxtrolls.
Okay.
Which
I
I'm not
believe I'm going
saying-
to rest my case.
Which I'm not saying that I love that you're resting your case on the idea that's like I loved this movie and I brought it to you on a silver platter and it was like
I don't
It was
know.
like Casey,
Yeah.
I know what you're gonna say. Stream it. You haven't even watched it yet. I know you're gonna say stream it.
You knew I was going to say
Like-
don't stream it.
I knew you were gonna say don't stream it, but
Right.
like I'm saying don't stream it. I don't
Okay.
think it's I don't think that as an animated movie, I don't have any problem with animation.
Neither do I.
Being in
Spirited
any way.
Away is a great movie.
And you know that's my issue with it is that it's like I like animation a lot, and I didn't like this.
Big
And
Jug
it was-
Nurses 4 is
Let
a
me
great
say this
hentai.
though.
It
Let me
was-
say this. You had no problem with the animation though, right?
The animation itself, I actually did have a problem with some of the animation.
Because this was, I was just about to say, you never see an animated film where no matter what your critique is, no one ever comes out and says, well, it was animated very poorly. Like,
Right, no one
you
ever
really
says
never
that.
hear that.
I
Because
thought I liked the animation. That was the one good redeeming part about the whole thing.
There were little things that I didn't like because I felt like they the way that they shot the mouth movements on it felt like they were shot on a 2, not a 1. And it's
What does
a whole
that
thing.
mean?
When you're shooting,
yeah, what does that mean?
when you're shooting,
How are you
No,
supposed
no,
to
no.
just going with it.
supposed to know?
I was like, yeah, it did look like a 2 when it should have been a 1.
I'm like, why?
When you're
I
shooting-
I know Dennis doesn't know this.
when you're shooting an animated film, you're shooting you're every time that you hit the button for it to shoot a frame.
Okay.
It's shooting 1 frame, but what you can do is use that as 2 frames, or use that as 3 frames, where it's shot on 2s or shot on 3s or anything like that. It makes it faster to animate and cheaper to animate.
Okay.
But it makes it all look a little chunkier. Like if
Okay.
you watch like old school cartoons. Some old school cartoons like old Mickey Mouse and stuff like that, they look like the motion and everything like that looks absolutely gorgeous, and
Right.
like the way that everything moves, and it's because it was shot on 1s, so they drew every single frame of it.
Would the layman care about such things?
Well, no. The reason why the layman would care about such things is that if you look at old like Wallace and Gromit stuff, if you look at stuff that's if you look at like older, if you look at Paranorman, if you look at different even Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Right.
A lot of that is shot on like the mouth movement and stuff like that is shot on 1s.
So
And
it's more fluid?
So it's more fluid, and it's got a
Okay.
very like the way that everything functions within that world has a very fluid and natural flow.
Do you think
to
they
it.
were trying to do that because the Boxtrolls are retarded?
And well, no, it's like all of the mouth movements in the movie felt like they were shot on twos, where they were just a little bit like snippy and weird.
Yeah, because the Boxtrolls are weird.
I don't mean
I don't mean just the
Boxtrolls. I mean all of the characters.
Because they're a major character in the movie, so that's why shooting it on twos is like, you know what? We'll just shoot the whole movie in twos, save a little bit of money.
Irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. What you guys are going off on right now
it's
is
an
totally
insane
irrelevant.
tangent.
I do have this written down.
What I'm saying is that as a thing within animation, it's a production quality moment where when I did watch it, it's like there were a lot of things that they did stylistically that I thought were really kind of beautiful, where it was like the way that their entire underground society looks, the way that they shot a lot of things. There were a lot of things that I saw in it where they used like foreground and background that you don't see a lot in the way that they like build out stop motion movies, because there's so much you have to build to get one shot.
Can
like
I
when
use
you're
a Steven
angling a camera.
argument that I constantly hear on this podcast? Why should I care?
I get you.
Yeah, why should I care about a 2 versus a 1?
Well, the reason why you should care about a 2 versus a 1 is because the actual, it's the same thing as like if you were watching any action movie that we would have, and the character, like the CGI that's in it, just looks a little chunky. Or like if you were watching, like it's supposed to be a
Could
big,
you come up with a comparative movie which has bad CGI to the top of your head? Or think about it, because I feel like I interjected on Dennis, and I want him to speak.
Well, first of all, you guys have
I'll think about it.
You guys have only interjected on me. I thought I would let you guys try to run out of steam, but it appears that you guys have nothing to offer but babbling idiocy at great length. First of all,
one more thing,
Dennis. No. Let's start at the top.
Right.
This is a kid's movie.
Yes.
As childish as you guys may be, it seems to be that point is going over your head.
That's what I said.
So first of all, when you're talking about is it dark enough? Yes, it's dark enough. Because it's a kid's movie. I don't know how dark Coraline was or Paranorman, but there's some dark things in this. There's some philosophical points made in this film that are very interesting.
Okay.
And going back to the animation and how you said, when kids walk out of the movie, they're not going to say, you know what, I think they did it on the 2s instead of the 1. I think I saved a couple bucks on that one. They're going to say, oh, it looked like clay and like real life drawings and stuff.
Right.
I think it was a conscious decision to make it look kind of chalk blocky, because it's clay. It's clay, man.
It's marionettes.
But I will say this.
Whatever.
I think it added to the darkness of it that they look so strange at times. I have this written down. What's the girl's name in it? The little girl who's also great because she's very morbid.
Right.
There's some of your darkness. I'll
Yes.
throw at you right there. But whatever her name is, her eyelids are like on the inside of her head, and every time she blinked, I was like, "Ugh!"
I didn't even notice that.
Stuff like that kept me in this movie. And listen, you have to imagine. Obviously, I would never recommend this to another adult, to watch.
Of course.
But what I was like, oh man, I gotta watch a movie with my kids. I feel like I've watched every cartoon on Netflix.
Right.
You know what? Check out the Boxtrolls. There's going to be a couple things every 10 minutes to keep you interested.
I understand that.
I will say this. I do not appreciate that this movie paints the transgender community in a bad light.
Wait, what? What?
You want to talk about some deep messages in this? How come the only cross-dressing character in this film is named Archibald Snatcher, and he's the mean villain? What's up with that?
Right. Wait, is it? That's not transgender. That's cross-dressing.
I'm ignorant.
Okay. All right.
First of all, it's cross-dressing.
It's cross-dressing. Okay. Fair enough.
But I'm gonna negate your point completely just to move on.
Okay.
If it was shot
this
in
was
the
my thing
twos.
my thing was that the darkness of the movie felt like what it felt like was that somebody watched a Tim Burton movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like, let's do that.
Right.
And that was kind of my problem with it, was that it was like Tim Burton has a lot of stuff that feels like there are movies that Tim Burton did back in the day where it was like Beetlejuice, that like the darkness in it was real. Mm-hmm. Like it was like it had a really real, like palpable darkness, weirdness to it.
Well, remaining kind of campy though.
Remaining kind of campy and having that entire thing, but like it felt gross and weird and dark.
Yeah.
Tangible.
Yeah.
And later on in his career, it was like there's just like the Tim Burton style trees,
it's just makeup,
in stuff, and just like weird swirls and things that mean absolutely nothing. And it's like and like some people that are really into it. Yeah, and like some people that get really into it are like, oh no, that's like the dark side of things. And I felt like that was kind of what this movie had, was this thing of like, oh, the way that they're shaped and things is the dark side of things. And it's like, no, it's very interesting art direction. It's very interesting
Well,
like
let's talk about
character
the plot.
design and all
should
of
we
those
discuss
things.
that a
Well,
little?
no, and that was what I was going to say is the plot does not carry that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't carry that weight.
Everything falls a little short for you with this film.
That's my problem with it.
Right.
I'll
say
like,
I like
if
the
it,
art, and I think it was a conscious thing. I don't know.
At the end of the movie, when they do the credits, and the one character is getting very meta about like their existence.
Yeah, I love
like,
that.
And then they start to show the the people who are doing the moving these
time lapse,
characters. The time
Yeah.
lapse. I was like, this is the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it was my favorite part.
It was my
totally.
favorite part to see them do that. And I'm like, this
Yeah.
is really cool. But I mean, we should discuss the plot. People
That
who,
and anytime Madame Frou Frou was on screen, I
Right,
really
right,
enjoyed
yes,
that. I thought that
yes.
was very funny.
Mhm.
I feel like if I made a tally and I watched this movie again and had a notebook out where every time there was like a little wink nod to the adults in the room,
Yeah.
I think there would be enough where it's like, hey, if you got to watch a movie with a kid, or if you got to watch a movie with a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old,
Right. Yeah.
that's another thing, is that this is a very broad movie for kids. But in doing that, it's kind of vanilla and the plot's not. It's not blowing my hair back like crazy. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a
Plus,
Yeah.
the
It's a
box
sort of
trolls were retarded. You're right. They
Yeah.
were. They were
It's-
so stupid.
Yeah, it's a dark plot if you think about it. It is
Well, no,
a
and
dark
that was-
plot.
It's a dark
is
plot.
dark.
But
and
then it
that
gets
was
lighter.
why-
It gets lighter because there's no real damage that's sort of done. Like the Archibald is a guy who wants to rise up in the ranks of society.
Get
Yeah.
that cheese, baby.
He wants to get that cheese, which is like, oh, it signifies wealth.
Yeah, which is a ridiculous device.
He wants to
but
switch from
whatever.
a red hat to a white hat, which will say that now he's of a higher status, and he wants to get rid of the Boxtrolls. That's what someone with a white hat tells him to do.
Lord, what's his name? Lord Portly Rind. The names were all great in this
Right,
film.
they are solid. And so he goes to Eggs, who's this the kid who ends up being raised by the Boxtrolls.
The Bass Shackle boy, or whatever the hell his name was.
Supposedly-
The
Yeah,
Buckstrolls, the
I
Buckstrol kid.
couldn't keep any of the humans' names straight.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Supposedly kills the kid who gets adopted by the Boxtrolls' father, supposedly. And that because he wouldn't build a machine to help kill the Boxtrolls.
Yeah.
And then this kid's raised by the Boxtrolls, and he's eventually found out that he's raised by the Boxtrolls, and Archibald is trying to remove the Boxtrolls so he can raise up into the ranks. And eventually, they
Really,
bring
this
him
is a
down.
political drama.
Right.
When you really boil it down.
It is, but then you find out that the kid who's raised by the Boxtrolls, his father, doesn't really end up dying in the end, is actually held captive by Archibald. And
Who has
everyone's-
been hung upside down for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
makes no sense.
See,
it's,
when they
you know-
should have went real heavy with the darkness, like his brain should have been completely scrambled, and his son should have been mortified by that fact. But instead, it's like chili. Hee hee hee.
Yeah, they made him seem just a little kooky.
That's
And
mortifying to be hung up by your
But
ankles for
they
10
could
years.
have kept it dark and said, "Oh, he was killed by Archibald, and now his new family is the Boxtrolls." But they sort of undid all the darkness as the plot moved along.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, his father is
Yeah.
is rational again, just because he's been right side up for the last couple days.
It
Archibald,
all comes back
yeah,
to him.
yeah, Archibald is removed, and he's now his whole plot's been undone. He's stopped. The Boxtrolls succeed. The Boxtrolls no longer need the boxes. They're given confidence. It's cute little stuff, and I get what you're trying to say about keeping someone interested, but at the end of the day, I don't even think that's too much of a movie where I would say to somebody who has a kid, there's so many movies where a person who has a child that you could recommend to them. Where I think that
It's a real soft movie.
Yeah,
like
it's
if
a
I,
soft
it's, a
movie.
soft,
That's-
it's a soft movie.
That's why, like what I was mentioning at the beginning is that it's just like front to back, just it doesn't, the story itself
right.
does not hold up. And
Yes.
that's like my biggest problem with it, because it's one of those things, it's like it looks cool.
Right.
It's kind of a cool idea of this thing of like, oh yeah, there's this underground society of like weird little creatures that live in boxes.
Yeah.
That like it has notes to it where it's like okay, this is kind of fun and kind of weird. And it felt like what happened was that it was like there were all these things they wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
that they just didn't do.
I want to confess something to you. When I watched the preview for this movie,
Say it's sultry if you're going to confess.
something I gotta confess to you. What? When I watched the preview to this movie, I said to myself, "Man, if I was 7, I'd really want to watch this movie."
Really?
And then I thought, Oh yeah, when I was 7, I was also really dumb. So,
it's a dumb movie for kids.
Can we comment on how good your sultry voice was?
Thank you.
That was pretty good.
Very good.
I'll say this: I don't even think I would like this movie if I was 7. I wasn't into movies like this when I was a kid, but there's a huge audience for this movie. This is a very Catholic.
Did it make a good amount of money? Did it crush the box office expectations?
I think it did well. I don't think it crushed, but you could. This is a very unoffensive movie. You know what I mean? No one. It's hard for a parent to find a reason to not let their kids watch this film.
Right, of course, and that's what I don't like is that.
Yeah, it's not meant for us.
You think about
because it needs to be more offensive.
No, it's not.